Hey everyone, it's Jaiden back with another freaking video. It's been a while since I just kind of sat down and talked. I feel like the last sit down video I really did was, I think when we found out about his diagnosis, and I was kind of explaining to you guys that. And obviously here and there I've been sharing little bits and pieces of everything that we've been going through. It is Spina Bifida Awareness Month. It's October and I want to sit down and get into the nitty gritty of Spina Bifida, the kind that Levi has, what it's gonna look like for our family, because Spina Bifida is a snowflake disease where every single case is different. I may not remember every single little detail, but I'm going to do my best. I'm first going to start off by explaining how we found out, everything that we went through, where we are now. I'm going to answer a few questions that you guys asked on my Instagram and kind of do like a little Q&A in honor of Spina Bifida Awareness Month, because it's important that people know. I had no idea what it was, and when I found out, I thought it was a death sentence for our son, and I really thought it was the end of the world, and it was not. It was beginning to an amazing journey. Without further ado, let's just get into it. At our 18-week anatomy scan, we were told that Levi has a severe case of Spina Bifida, and they told us that he was not going to make it. They said that it is too severe and he probably won't make it till the end of the pregnancy, probably want to abort. At first we felt like, again, it was a death sentence and that there was no saving Levi. It took us a lot to try and think of other options because we thought that he was not going to have a good life, because that's how they made us feel. My mom ended up finding this hospital, Orlando Hospital, Winnie Palmer, actually. They have a team of doctors who do what's called open fetal surgery. I'm going to give you the exact definition of what Spina Bifida is. Spina Bifida is a birth defect in which there is incomplete closing of the spine and membranes around the spinal cord during early development and pregnancy. Wow, I can't talk. There are three types: occulta, meningocele, and myelomeningocele. The most common location is the lower back, but in rare cases it's in the middle back or the neck. So Levi has myelomeningocele, which is the most severe case of Spina Bifida. His lesion was the L2, L3 range. That's where his opening was. When we went to the doctors that were going to possibly do surgery for us, after we did the MRIs and all the testing that we needed to do, they, his surgeon told me, he's like, he does have a very severe case, and he had hope. He never once had any fear. He never once had anything negative to say. He just gave us the facts of Levi's case. And then, sorry, my fiance's in the shower. At the end of the day, he said, I can do what I can do, but the rest is up to the big man upstairs. And that right there, we knew that's who Levi was meant to have performed the surgery. They would repair the neural tube defect to the best of their ability, and then they would close the opening in his back. So they did that with a skin graft. This is what it looked like when he came out right away. It had not healed barely any, and it had a long journey. We were actually 3 months into him being born, 3.5 or so, and we got the go-ahead to put him in the bath, do all the things that a regular baby could do that we couldn't before. No more wound care. He doesn't have to wear a bandage on it. So it's definitely an exciting time. It's another reason why I wanted to film this video, because we have come so far. They did have to do a ton of testing to see if I qualified for the surgery. I kind of spoke about that in one of my other videos. It is a very risky surgery, and literally right before I went back, I remember signing all the forms like, he could die, I could die. Worst case scenario. They did the surgery and I was about 27 weeks or so. Babe! I was 25 weeks with Levi when we underwent surgery. It was a really long surgery. I don't remember anything because I was put under anesthesia, but when I woke up, I just remember asking about food or something, and that week was pretty rough. I have all the videos of everything though on my channel. I had a few contractions, but I was discharged from the hospital and I stayed at Ronald McDonald House for another week. The fluid in my belly, the sac that he was in, dropped really low, so I was admitted back in the hospital for another week to monitor because they thought my water broke, and it didn't. So then they let me go. I stayed in Ronald McDonald another week, and then we went home for 4 days. And then my water decided to break 4 days after being home. So I was life flighted from the hospital in Jacksonville to Orlando. Just in case he came early, they life flighted us because they wanted his doctors and our team to take care of us and to monitor us, because there's a lot of things that can happen when your water breaks. I was strictly monitored for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Different things happening every day. I bled a little bit, I didn't bleed, but throughout everything, Levi did amazing. He never had any health issues. His hydrocephalus was getting worse. Hydrocephalus is a buildup in the cavities deep within the brain. It's within the ventricles of the brain. The extra fluid puts pressure on the brain and can cause brain damage in most infants and older adults. So because his lesion in his back was affecting so many things, he was unable to process and drain fluid like a completely healthy person would. That was something they always warned us of, is that there will have to be intervention because his lesion was so big, and they had to, you know, just continue to watch it over time. I sat in the hospital for a couple weeks, and here, take it, Bessie. Finally, at 31 weeks and like 4 days, he was born. They did try and use medication to prevent me from going into labor, just because obviously we wanted him to go as full term as we could, but he had other plans. Nothing could stop my contractions. They were just getting worse and worse and worse, so I had a scheduled C-section. I did not have the option to give birth naturally. They never really told me why. I never really asked. I wasn't against it, but I'm assuming because it would have damaged the repair on his back, because it was so large of a lesion. And he had a 1-month NICU stay. That was rough, but he did pretty well for the most part. It was just really hard, obviously having to reach all those milestones, and because he was born early, we had so long to wait, and it just felt like forever, but we were able to go home, and it was amazing when we did. But about a month later, his hydrocephalus got really bad. His back started leaking. We drove to Orlando, and they did his ETV surgery that Friday, and that's basically a natural way to drain fluid in a baby or just a person. It's either a shunt or an ETV, but the ETV is a, like I said, more natural way than the shunt. The shunt is an actual device that gets put into the brain and it drains down into the belly. This one just kind of goes like through his neck and into his throat, and then it drains that way. It's not guaranteed to work like the shunt, but that was a risk that we took doing the trial that we did, where it was randomized and we didn't know which direction it was gonna go. There were a lot of benefits to the trial for our family, so we partook in that. So now we are 3.5 months from his birth. He's had his brain surgery, his back is completely healed, and we don't see his doctors until November, so we have about a month actually until we do. They said he's looking great. Right now his ventricles aren't getting any larger, they're not getting any smaller, and that's all that we can hope for right now. If we have to have intervention with a shunt down the road, you know, we are prepared. It's been a long 6 months. It's actually been a long, I don't even know, because we found out about his diagnosis, I think in April or so. I don't know. We found out about it, you know, at 18 weeks. So we've been dealing with this since then, and fetal surgery definitely changed my life, because I was bedridden from May to when he was born, basically, and so many different things happened. So many things were stressing me out, making me anxious. I got so comfortable just being in a bed doing nothing that when I was in the real world, I feel like that was a harder adjustment than being in the hospital. Like when I was in the hospital, I thought it was the worst thing ever. I thought I was gonna freaking die because I couldn't go outside, because half the time I was only able to go outside for 5 minutes, because when my water broke, his cord was down there, and his cord could have slipped out and caused him to have a lot of different issues. I still feel like to this day the hardest part was getting out of the hospital and learning how to live a regular life again. It's been 3 months since I got out, and I've been able to adjust. I got my period, my body's going back to somewhat normal. I still obviously have no feeling in my belly because I had 2 C-sections in 2 months. I am proud of how far I've come, and I'm starting to move my body again. I'm not like fully working out yet, but we go for walks and we do things to just get some fresh air for us both. Yeah, so that's Levi's story. I do want to answer some questions. Are you ready for the questions? Are you ready? You smiling? You want to say hey, everyone? I gotta take this, sorry. Whoa! Look at you holding your head up like a little boy. Can you go sit with your daddy for a few minutes? You're gonna have to, oh, good burp. You're gonna have to go to your daddy though. Does hydrocephalus go away, and can his head size go back to average size? Hydrocephalus does cause the head to get bigger. His head size, it's not necessarily going to shrink, but he will grow into it, if that makes sense. With the surgery, could Levi still develop difficulties with the function of his legs later in life? Yes. The biggest goal of surgery is to fix his Chiari malformation, which he had. That's where the cerebellum is shaped differently, doesn't allow fluid to drain properly. Obviously, to repair the neuro defect and close his back. That's what the goal was. That's what was accomplished, and so the surgery was successful. The surgery also does help with the chances of motor function, and for Levi, he has full function in his legs, ankles, feet, toes, all of that. His lower half, he has full function and he can feel everything. His doctor is amazed that he can feel everything, because I don't think he was expecting him to, but every time he sees him, he's like, wow, look at that, and like he'll take pictures of his legs and his movement, and it's just amazing how much movement and feeling he truly does have. And in an L2, L3 case, that's not always the situation, but again, it's a snowflake disease, so every case is different. Is there a reason, like, is it hereditary or random? It can be hereditary, I believe. Was termination ever a thought when you first found out? I had a similar incident but aborted. Termination was a thought, yes, but I think the only reason for us that it was is because the original doctors that we saw made it seem like there was no hope and that his life would just be terrible. They made us think that he would never walk, he would probably be on a ventilator, he would probably have a feeding tube the rest of his life. They gave us worst case scenario for spina bifida, and again, every case is different, and they were looking at textbook of worst case scenario, and that's what they were telling us Levi was going to experience. And then when we saw his doctors in Orlando, they, I think, changed our mind on everything. And for me, I'm not against abortion at all. I think everyone has the right to do what they want to with their bodies. It's just when I saw that little baby at 18 weeks in my belly, I was more distraught at the thought that we had to abort to save him from a terrible life. And I think that's what made me so sad, is the fact that we were going to have to do that. And we ended up not doing it, thank goodness, and we are so grateful. Got a little train going by. We are just very grateful that we didn't, because he is perfect in every single way. Is he going to have troubles with walking / movement as he gets older? That we do not know. So as far as we know right now, they told us to treat him like a regular baby, because he does have full movement, he does have feeling, but we did all of the testing for his bladder, his kidneys, and everything looked good. They just said as he gets bigger, those nerves that are, you know, have the defect will stretch, and that's what we aren't sure of what will happen. He could have to have a catheter, or he could have to just use a catheter every once in a while to just completely empty his bladder. We aren't fully sure. Things progress with SB kids as they get older, because they grow, so that's when things start to change. Will he be able to live a full normal life? Absolutely. Even if he had a shunt, he would have had a normal life. Even if he didn't have full movement in his legs, he'd have a normal life. What's normal is different for everyone. We obviously imagined our son to be 100% healthy with no disability or diagnosis or anything, but God decided that we were going to have a baby with spina bifida, and that is our normal. So even though it might be different from my sister who has 2 perfectly healthy children, that's her normal and this is our normal. He has no limitations as far as what he can do, but as he gets older, there might be some, depending on if his bladder control changes, or if he does lose a little bit of feeling, or if his ankles aren't as strong as they need to be for him to fully walk on his own. All of that we won't be able to figure out until he gets bigger. So, did you have to use a car seat bed on the way home? We did. He only used it for a couple weeks. I tried not to put him in the car that much anyway, because someone had to drive with me at the time. We were out of it really fast. Did you have to use an O2 monitor at home? I didn't have to. I just chose to use the outlet sock. We used it for the first month or 2 that he was home, and then I haven't really used it since. I use it if I feel like he's sick, or if I feel like something's wrong, I'll kind of just like check. We don't have any other care, and now we are wound care free starting yesterday, so we just treat him as if he's a regular baby. There's obviously different things we have to look out for with his hydrocephalus. Like I said, it's maintaining right now with the ETV, but if his soft spot gets really full again, if his forehead starts to protrude, if he starts to vomit, different things that can can be caused by hydrocephalus we have to be on the lookout for. So not only was he a preemie, but he is an infant and he has hydrocephalus and spina bifida. So for us, it's a huge trial and error process of, okay, what's going on right now? And it's so stressful and overwhelming. That is all that I have for today. I hope you guys feel a little bit more educated on spina bifida. If you have any more questions, I would love to answer them to the best of my ability. I by no means am a genius about spina bifida. I just know about Levi and Levi's case, different things that they've told us over time. We are so grateful that he is so strong. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Happy Spina Bifida Awareness Month. If you are a new mom and you have a spina bifida diagnosis, it is not the end of the world. I promise you, no matter what happens, even if your baby does not have feeling, even if your baby has harder bladder function or control, it's okay, because that baby was meant for you. That baby was put in your life with that diagnosis for a reason. I appreciate you guys. If you are new to my channel, thank you for watching this and tuning in and hearing a little bit more about our story, a little bit more in depth. If you want to stay up to date on my family and I, head over to my Instagram and my TikTok. I post a lot on both platforms. I guess I will see you in the next video.